Aloha. I'm Representative Cynthia Thielen. I represent Kailua Kaneohe Bay. And today we have a wonderful group to talk with you, and I think you all will be learning a great deal. First of all, I'd like you all to meet Alexandra Avery, who is the president of the Outdoor Circle. Alexandra, wonderful to see you again.
Thank you, Representative Thielen.
And then we have Kathy Whitmire, who is a former president of the Outdoor Circle, and it's wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. Both of you are going to be able to tell the viewers a great deal about the Outdoor Circle, what the group is, and what its objectives and objections are. And I'd like you to start, Alexandra, if you could explain about the Outdoor Circle. How old a group is it? What does it do? What has it done?
Well, thank you, Representative Thielen, and thank you for having us with you today. As you know, since you're a member of the Outdoor Circle and have been for some years, it's an organization primarily involved with the greening and beautifying of the state of Hawaii. When it got started, it was a group of women, mainly women, working together with the Hawaii Civic Clubs and with the Garden Circle that was a national group. This was right at the turn of the century, and it was about 1912 when this group of women decided, well, we would like a more specific interest than what we are working on with the Hawaiian Civic Clubs and with the Garden Clubs, and their interest turned into the motto that still stands with us today, and that is keeping Hawaii clean, green, and beautiful.
Oh, how wonderful. So that's really a 100-year-old motto.
It's a 100-year-old motto, and during the course of the past 100 years, of course, those three words, clean, green, and beautiful, have come to mean many different things than they did originally. But the motto still stands, and it stands throughout the state in our 10 branches. Our newest branch is in West Honolulu, housed in the very beautiful, lush corner of Manoa.
Oh, how wonderful.
We're very happy to have this branch because its interest will be looking at more closely areas like Kaka'ako and downtown areas. And the rest of our branches throughout the state work specifically on issues that are local to their district, to their area. And it's these branches that basically serve the motto of the Outdoor Circle. Our administrative board is in Honolulu so that we can easily advocate for all the branches during legislative session and just being the core board for all of these 10 branches.
But it's Alexandra, in the around the 1920s, almost 100 years ago, the Outdoor Circle took on a very important statewide issue.
Yes,
Can you
did.
talk about that?
Yes, of the many statewide issues, it was in the early 20s that the Outdoor Circle founders thought that the billboard sightings all over the island, all over Honolulu and the island of Oahu, were detracting from the beauty of the island, and so they...
Well, now, wait a minute, explain to the viewers. Hawaii had billboards?
Hawaii was peppered with billboards, not only peppered, but salted and peppered with billboards, and of every sort and size. And these founders of the Outdoor Circle just really couldn't abide by the detraction from them and ended up buying the couple of billboard companies.
You mean the billboard companies wouldn't take down the billboards?
No.
So the members pulled together.
The members did fundraisers, and they bought the companies, and then they took down the billboards, and then they helped write the legislation that passed is now our state billboard law, protecting all of the counties of the state.
So that has been in place for almost 100 years.
Almost 100 years. Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, you had some involvement with billboards, or?
Yes, before I moved to Hawaii, I've been here in Hawaii a little over 12 years, and it's been my pleasure to be part of the Outdoor Circle all that time. But originally I'm from Houston, Texas, and I was actually the mayor of Houston. And
Oh my word, how wonderful.
Worked very hard to get rid of the billboard clutter in my city at that time. Actually,
And what period of time was
well,
this?
that was in the 80s.
Well, that
And
would have been very hard because they would have been very well established.
they were already there, and that's the problem that all of the big cities on the mainland are fighting. And I have to say, the founders of the Outdoor Circle had great vision. They confronted those billboards way back when they got organized, before the 1926 legislation was passed, and they said, we've got to get rid of them. They boycotted people who advertised on billboards, and as Alexandra said, they had to buy some of the companies to take them down. It's hard work, and there are cities on the mainland U.S. today trying still to get rid of billboards because they're there. Most of them, including Houston, passed ordinances to say no more. You can't put up any more. We'll deal with these we've got, but no more billboards.
How did you do this in Houston?
Well, that was one of the first things we did, was to say no more billboards can be put up.
Okay.
And then we said, well, we're going to amortize the ones that are already there, and after a period of time, they'll have to be taken down. So the City Council passed that ordinance in 1980. But as you can understand, the people who wanted to keep them, the people who were making money from them, appealed to the legislature, and they actually required the city to loosen some of those laws and not take them down nearly as soon. Now, a big majority of them have come down because there was a unique requirement that said you can't get a permit to put up a new one. So when there were some hurricanes that came through and wiped out the billboards, they couldn't be put back up.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yes, but it's been a big fight everywhere on the mainland, and there are only 3 other states besides Hawaii that have been successful in completely getting rid of the billboards. That's Maine, Vermont, and Alaska are the only ones.
For heaven's sake.
So Hawaii
and those states are really known for protecting their beautiful environment.
That's right, and they are billboard free, and Hawaii can be very proud to be one of only 4 states that's been able to appreciate the scenic environment enough to get rid of the sign clutter so that we can see the beauty.
I imagine we were the first, weren't
I was
we?
just going to say, not only were we the first, but our state sign laws are among the strictest in the country and have been a model for the other states when they develop their sign laws. And we really hope to be a model for all 49 other states.
Well, then this must be what surprised you, and I know it surprised me when all of a sudden there was this idea of the city administration to put billboards on buses.
Yes,
so
actually,
a billboard is a billboard.
Wherever it is.
Right,
Yes.
but these would be traveling throughout Oahu and cluttering up our environment.
Well, of course, you were serving in 2003, weren't you, when
Yes.
the billboard law was tested, and we tried very hard to put in language that would be foolproof and safe language that would really hold for another 100 years.
Right.
And interestingly, during that time, when Mayor Caldwell was a representative, he was helping us with this languaging of the bill. There was a lawsuit against the company that came from Los Angeles and wanted to do aerial advertising. And they also had moving billboards on trucks, and they were going around. Their subject was, of course, offensive to all. It was anti-abortion, very unpleasant pictures to look at. But no matter what they would have been advertising, it was still an affront to the law. So there was a lawsuit, there was a tightening up of the statutes, and I have to say we were so blindsided when we were asked to come into the mayor's office, which we thought we were coming in to speak about the parks. Our vision for the next few years is to really work statewide and help to improve all the parks. So we assumed that's what we were getting invited into the mayor's office to talk about, when in fact it was just for the mayor and Mike Formby, Department of Transportation Director, to let us know that they had changed the language, they had added a new bill, and that they had put together a press release, and that would be coming out in the next few hours as soon as they filed the bill that very day. So there was no opportunity for the
And
Outdoor
this bill
Circle.
was to allow billboards.
Moving billboards on
the
buses.
side of buses. Oh,
So
but
there's
you know,
really
it's
no
interesting.
opportunity to discuss it with the mayor, and we could hardly believe what we are hearing, since only a few short years ago he had worked and spoken publicly in defense of the beauty of the view plane and the sacredness of our visual landscape.
The difficulty I would see as a retired attorney is that if you open that can of worms, then you can't really prevent other worms from coming in and saying, wait a minute, you're allowing billboards on buses. We now want to use them on the rail.
That's true.
On, you name it.
There are some
wherever
people
else.
now arguing that, well, we'll have an ordinance that says it's only going to be for this. But we now know how quickly those ordinances can be changed.
Oh yes.
And what we're
and
really
they'd be
dealing-
changed by lawsuits. You
Absolutely.
can't open that can of worms without expecting it to be really.
And not to mention the First Right Amendment. In the recent hearing, Mike Formby did admit that although they had made some corrections to the bill and added some amendments to it, that he was expecting to have lawsuits in regard to the First Right Amendment, because
As
you
to
just
what can be put up on the
yes,
side of
because
the
who
buses.
can really
Why
determine that?
Why do we even want to go there? I mean, this is why I look at the Outdoor Circle as a 100-year-old organization that has preserved Hawaii's beauty, and why do we want to all of a sudden degrade that by having moving billboards going throughout our island?
It is a tricky issue, because we need better bus service, and the Outdoor Circle is completely in favor of the bus. Most of us ride the bus. We totally support mass transit and wish the bus had better service. But for the small amount of money that would be made on this infringement on our visual plane, it really isn't worth it to open that can of worms. It
And I
just
think
really
that
isn't
amount of
worth
money
it.
would be countered by the lawsuits that would be filed, and then the legal fees incurred, or the legal expenses incurred by the city in saying, no, you can't do everything on the side of the bus. You know, it's interesting, when I ride the bus, I notice inside the bus there are the ads, but they aren't really, I don't think they're really money-making ads. Some of them are kind of talking about other city programs or services, but there could be a way that the bus could get some money from putting commercial ads inside the bus.
Right. Well, we did look into that, and we found that the advertising company, this is separate from the city hires the advertising company, really hasn't been doing their best job at getting advertisers.
Okay.
And
so right there is some money that the city could make.
There's money that could be made on advertising inside the buses, definitely. The idea of putting advertising on the outside of the buses is, in many people's opinion, a slippery slope, but I actually see it as a deep sinkhole. Because of this can of worms that you mentioned. It just really doesn't make sense.
No.
And I know that there's ways that the city can find that money to help improve our bus system. And it is unfortunate that our bus system runs completely in the red. I mean, I think you can agree, having been mayor of a city, not that many public transportation systems run on a big profit, but I think they can at least pay for themselves, and they can probably do a little bit better than we've been able to do with ours. And I would like to see that happen without raising our bus fares, though I think $2 is not bad at all. but it would be nice to do it
Well,
without.
still with the student and senior discounts. Right.
Well, there are other possibilities for revenue coming into that bus system, I have to tell you.
Oh, really?
Yes. A few years ago, the state, as you know, was having some tough times financially, and they decided to raise the transient occupancy tax. That is the tax that visitors pay on their hotel rooms. And even though the state raised it, it was going to be temporary, but now it's permanent. But they limited and reduced how much of that money could flow through to the counties. And you know, Oahu is a big county for tourists.
Right.
And a lot of tourists do come here and they do ride the bus. Even those who are senior citizen tourists get the same discount that local senior citizens get. And yet, we don't see any significant money at all coming from that transient occupancy tax.
So you're saying now that according to the governor and his administration that we're in a better economic times, then now it's time for the state to allow the counties to have more of the TAT.
The TAT, especially since it was raised from 7.25% to 9.25%, and now that's permanent. So that new flow of money coming from hotel rooms is really supposed to go to help out with the things that support tourism, and the bus is one of the things that supports tourism.
And then also the county parks.
Yes,
that the tourists
absolutely.
use.
But I think all of us can agree that when the bus service was cut back a couple of years ago under the prior administration of the city, that had to be, well, it was a bad decision to begin with, but it had to be something that would be corrected. And Mayor Caldwell actually ran on that promise of correcting it. Now, he didn't mention he wanted to put up moving billboards to accomplish it.
And getting routes back in place that people had really used.
You know, living out on the North Shore as I do, and I previously have lived on the windward side, I know that we used to have a very good bus service that came every 30 minutes without fail, and now, you know, that hasn't existed for a couple of years, and it's been really, really difficult for people who have a schedule, they need to get to school, they need to get to work, and yet the bus doesn't come on time, and if you miss one, you have to wait an hour for the next one. So,
well, then maybe people that really want the bus system to be improved and be back in the way it used to be should be calling the legislature and saying remove or raise the cap on the amount of money that the counties get from the transient accommodation tax.
That would be one of my messages. And another one that came up in the council hearing the other day has to do with the surtax on the GET that is collected here on Oahu for public transit purposes, and the fact that 10% of it is being retained by the state.
Yes.
And, you know, that's a big amount of money that could be used for public transportation. So it's really a false choice to say, oh, we have to degrade our scenic beauty in order to have public transportation.
Okay.
I don't know any other community who has decided to pit those two against each other, and certainly Hawaii should not do that.
Very good point. Very good point. So if the state is doing better with its resources, it needs to share.
That's right.
Because the counties, all of them, can use a little bit more help from the state.
That's definitely true, and specifically because all counties have tourists, and the tourists are a major driver of our economy.
And then if the viewers out there agree with this, I would say call your legislators, say be fairer with the counties, give them more a share of the TAT, and let them then use that money, one, to keep billboards off of buses, and to improve our parks, island-wide, our county parks, island-wide. And I'm sure the counties could come up with a shopping list of other things where they have economic needs for this. Well, now tell me what else the Outdoor Circle is looking at.
Well, we do have a legislative agenda this year, and first on it is really helping to see what we can do about furthering a bill to establish an environmental court in Hawaii. And it's in its second year now, so it has one more pass it can make, and we think it's a very good idea because among many reasons, but one would be that it would establish particular time during the week, like say Friday morning, where all environmental cases could be heard, it would make it much easier for the people involved in these environmental cases to know that they're, you know, when to commit their time to go to testify and to be in hearings, and also to be able to.
When you say environmental court, you don't mean like the judiciary, you mean more of a sort of a.
Like we have the children's court.
Okay.
It would be, it could either come through the legislature or it could come through appointment by the Attorney General.
Okay.
So either way, we're championing the bill because it's in, it's still up. It has one more year. We really would like to use this year as an educative opportunity to really let people know about the environmental court's benefits. But if the environmental issues could easily be heard in another way, we would be really willing to look at, you know, any way in which the environment could be better heard in the legislature.
So more of an environmental forum where people could weigh in. Here's an issue, this is what people are proposing, what is your concept,
Yes.
what do
Well,
you
it
think?
would be part of the judiciary, though. I
Okay.
think the idea is consistency of judicial opinions when it comes to environmental matters, because right now they just happen to come up in one court or the other, one judge or the other, and so the decisions about environmental questions are not always consistent from one case
That's
to
very
another.
very true.
So if you have a specialty court, this court only hears environmental cases, then you can get to the point where the judges are experts on that section of the law and will provide consistency in the answers that are given.
Which
Makes
we
a
do
lot of
have one.
sense.
Judge Mike Wilson
Yes.
is an amazing fellow who just came back from a trip to India where he traveled the entire country to see that the country of India has established an environmental court.
Really?
And he met with all of the judges in the if you can imagine the country, and he said if India can do it, Hawaii certainly can do it. And he has said, I will step up to, you know, to be that judge. And he's working with a number of students at the law school and trying to find out what is the very best way to approach environmental issues in Hawaii, because this is one of our most important issues. Our
Well,
environment
Mike
is
Wilson-
the hand that feeds us.
Mike Wilson, as a young attorney, brought some of the landmark cases.
Yes, he did.
And had wonderful decisions. This is back when we were trying to kind of establish the law. There were, in fact, when I went to law school, there were no case books about environmental law.
That's right.
It was being dealt with by actual case by case by case, but nothing in a book. Nowadays it would be on the internet, but nothing of that sort. And so I'm glad to see Mike has never stopped with his intention and interest in preserving Hawaii's environment. We owe him a great amount of.
He's a real champion for
Yes.
the environment. And secondly on our legislative agenda is the Exceptional Tree Initiative.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, and this is a 3-year program that, as president for the 3 years, I've really committed to, because the exceptional trees that were planted by the founders of the Outdoor Circle are now reaching the very end of their lifespan. They are 100 years old, they are dying from disease or age, and the city and county and Honolulu and all of the counties have looked at their aging trees and already deemed which ones will come down. So it just seemed like it, you know, fell into our lap. This is a perfect opportunity for us to help educate the whole state about what are exceptional trees, and for us to step up as an organization and help to replant, work with the city and county to determine is the list of exceptional trees that we've developed over the last 100 years the best list, because now some of the trees that are on that list, even though they have a very large canopy, are considered invasive, like the Abisa tree. So, you know, maybe we're looking at a grouping of koa trees that would provide the same type of canopy. But one of the main things about the exceptional tree is that they have a large canopy to help offset the climate change problems.
Right.
So we're very excited about the Exceptional Tree Initiative, and it also is a statewide effort that all of our branches can get behind.
Alexandra, we only have about 3 more minutes, so I want you to tell the viewers, give us the other priorities on
Yeah, and the
the
last
Outdoor Circle.
priority is having to do with environmental protection, and that includes all kinds of things, including the Lani Kailua Outdoor Circle branch, which has been working on saving and protecting the Kawainui Marsh, one of the most significant wetlands in America.
You know, that's so wonderful. We were able to work 2 administrations ago and work very hard to get Kawainui Marsh placed on the wetland
That's right.
list. And this was, Muriel Cito was
Yes.
such a leader on that.
Yes, wonderful.
I can remember when there was talk of Liberty House building a store right in Kawainui Marsh. They were going to put it on floating pods.
That's right.
I mean, this is
Yeah,
just...
the 60s had some wild ideas, wild ideas.
But now go ahead, because I want you to be able to tell the viewers everything you can in the last 2 minutes.
So right here in Honolulu, we are looking at the HCDA's efforts at building up Kaka'ako and really hoping that there will be some kind of moderation to the plan so that it will not be such a heavy, I mean, I think it's very important to have concentrated development so that it's not sprawling all over ag lands, and that's something that the Outdoor Circle feels very strongly about. But we just think this might be a little more concentrated of a development than say the sewer system and other infrastructure can actually support. So we're looking very closely at that. But mainly I'd really like your viewers to know that the Outdoor Circle depends on membership. We depend on our 4,000 to 5,000 members, I think it's closer to 5,000, to let us know what's important in their communities and to support the Outdoor Circle, because we run entirely on donations. And you can check out our website at www.outdoorcircle.org. And also you could visit us on our Facebook page and find out what we're doing in all the 10 branches.
Well, and then also I would say I've seen the members out there, sleeves rolled up and garden equipment in hand, replanting the plants at the Kailua Post Office. And that's just one of the things. The Triangle Park on the way by Kalapawai, where you've done just marvelous things. All of a sudden you drive by and you look at an area, it's been Outdoor Circle.
And that's what our branches do. That's why it's so important that we have branches throughout the state, because they take on those individual projects. They plant trees, they do beautification, and they get more people involved in making Hawaii clean, green, and beautiful.
Well, so all of you out there who are watching this, I hope you will go on the website or go on the Facebook page and look at what the Outdoor Circle does. It's a wonderful organization. I know that people from the community will like to be part of it. And I thank you all very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank
Aloha
you so
to
much,
you.
Representative Thielen.